Manchester United fans, things are starting to get interesting in the news and transfer news world, and just in regards to updates. We've been linked to a few new names ahead of the January window, ahead of Manchester United's search for a new midfield. We're used to the Baleba, Wharton, Anderson rumours, but we've now been linked to Manu Kone, Angelo Stiller, and we're going to talk about those news and rumours and if there's any truth in it. Greenwood is being scouted by Barcelona, and there's rumours that Greenwood could go this summer for a big fee, which means a lot more money coming Man United's way, pure profit, which could increase spending in the summer. Maguire, new deal. What is the latest on that? Is Maguire going to leave? Is he going to sign a new deal? Zirkzee off to West Ham, and the latest on Leach's injuries. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news roundup. I normally do a live stream every day around midday and a late night roundup every evening. So the late night roundups round up all the news in 10 minutes. The live stream is to discuss news and opinions with you guys. But there was just no news earlier today, and I thought I can't really do a live stream with nothing to talk about. So just the late night roundup. Nathan Salt and Chris Wheeler said this. Lisandro Martinez is expected to join his teammates in full training this week. He is set to step up his training this week and should make a return to first team action before the international break next month. Good to see, great stuff. We've missed Martinez. I think Martinez is probably going to be rusty his first few games back. I don't think people understand how big an ACL injury is to a footballer and how it can be game changing to a lot of footballers. So we've got to be a bit gentle with how Leach performs his first few games. Get back, he's going to need a bit of time to get up to scratch. But it's good to see he's back. He was actually meant to be back in training last week, but they just didn't want to rush it a little bit, and he's sort of been doing a bit of half training here and there, but he's stepping up, potentially could, probably won't be ready to start for at least another month, but is getting ready to sort of make his way back into the team, which is great. I mean, Luke Shaw, I don't think he was great versus Liverpool, but Luke Shaw's been all right, but I do look at Aiden Heaven and Lisandro Martinez, and they are the future for me in that left centre-back role. Lisandro Martinez is good enough, it's just, can he stay fit? Aiden Heaven is someone that I think is good enough, probably got limited opportunities this season with Zirkzee and Maino, which is good to see, because Luke Shaw will probably get injured and we will need another option at left centre-back. I've always said this, though. I would have started Euro ahead of Shaw at left centre-back yesterday. I thought Euro was really good when he came on, and I'm surprised that Amorim stopped starting Euro when I think that Euro's been our best centre-back for a while. I'm quite surprised about that, to be honest. I think De Ligt's been our best centre-back this season. I think Maguire's been the most clutch, but I think over the last year, I think Euro's been our best if we're going 2025. Southampton game we got cooked, but other than that, I think he's been good. West Ham boss Nuno wants 3 signings, including a striker. Zirkzee has emerged as a target and is keen to leave Old Trafford. West Ham face competition from clubs in Italy. Now, Romano was not saying that Zirkzee's keen to leave. Romano's just saying that Zirkzee wants minutes ahead of the World Cup, and if his situation doesn't change, he may look to leave. It looks like his situation's not going to change. At least Maino gets 10 minutes off the bench. Zirkzee don't even get off the bench because Cunha and Sesko, the first 2 choices centrally, Mount, Cunha, and Bumo, Sesko, Ahmad, Bruno, all ahead of him in the 10s. It just looks like Zirkzee's going to have to go on loan. And the thing with Zirkzee is he needs a run of games to get good. We've seen that with Zirkzee. He's not even getting a run of games to get good. So when he does play, he could be rusty. But Zirkzee has emerged as a target for West Ham. He's also emerged as a target for likes of Sunderland, Brighton. He's been linked to them all. I think Zirkzee could go on loan to Italy. There's Roma interested in him. Roma, one of the clubs interested in him. Of course, Bologna would take him back in a heartbeat. I think he could go to Italy. But I think, honestly, any club that gets Zirkzee on loan, they're doing well. The only reason I don't want Zirkzee to go on loan is if Sesko gets injured, we're in trouble. Because let's be honest, Mason Mount will inevitably get injured again. So if Sesko gets injured, we're in trouble. Because if Mason Mount's fit, you can play Cunha essentially with Mbumo on the right. But Mbumo's also going to AFCON. For me, if Zirkzee's going to go January 31st, and that's because Mount stay fit, Cunha's fit, Zesko's fit, given the minutes, because I think for Zirkzee's career he needs the minutes. But I don't like the idea of Zirkzee going. I think Zirkzee and Maino are such valuable squad players that it's frustrating that we can't play them that much because we're not in the Europa League and we're not in the EFL Cup to get those minutes, which is a shame. But I really rate Zirkzee. I do. I genuinely believe there's a player in there. However, there's talk of Zirkzee going to Roma, and as a player at Roma, I'd absolutely love to come the other way, but Roma are never going to swap Kone for Zirkzee because Kone has been one of their most key and important players in a while. But United are working on their 2026 transfer options, and Manu Kone is a player they've tracked for years, and he's now back on the radar after impressing at Roma. For me, a Kone transfer move would be a big one. I don't see it happening because he's one of the most key and important players. but I do like the player. He's in that, if I'm looking outside the Premier League, he's one of them. I like going for Premier League proven talents, but sometimes you have to overpay more for Premier League proven players. But if I'm looking outside the Premier League, you're looking at the Camavingas, you're looking at the Kones, those type of players. And I think that he's someone that can cover immense amount of ground. And we were linked to him in the past. Liverpool been linked to him in the past. A lot of Premier clubs were linked to him in the past before he went to Italy. And I think there's a really good player there. And, I think United have gone off Baleba because of the price tag and his dip in form. Adam Morton, there's crazy competition for, selling, Elliot Anderson, Forrest are not going to be easy at selling. Maybe we do look at someone like Manu Kone and say, what, can we tempt him to come to the Premier League? Because I'm open for that. I think he's got the physical side. In terms of the technical side, I think Angelo Stiller has that. But Angelo Stiller, for me, is a Bruno replacement. He's not a Casemiro replacement. He's not an Garte replacement. And I think right now we need someone that can do the Casemiro Garte or better. But Angelo Stiller is the Wharton alternative. For me, I want one of a Baleba or a Kone or a Camavinga in one spot, and then an Elliot Anderson Stiller type player in the other spot. Because I'm looking at long-term Bruno and Casemiro replacements. But it was said that United is still interested in Stiller, who could move in 2026. He has a €40 million release clause, but Stuttgart plan to remove it by paying him €2 million compensation so they can insert a higher release clause. He's under contract until 2028, giving Stuttgart a strong position in future negotiations. We were linked to Stiller a little bit in the summer, but nothing really came of it. The rumours got played down pretty quickly. I think if Bruno goes, I'm very open to Stiller. He's not someone to play next to Bruno or someone that I play next to Maino, but he's someone that I would play in that midfield because he's got that quality on the ball that we lack in midfield. And I think the fact that our ways of building up are going wide or Le Mans hitting it long is because we can't build up centrally. Now, it surprises me that we don't use Maino more centrally when he's probably our best player in build-up centrally. But someone like Stiller and someone like Adam Wharton could really help with that central build-up. And I think that's why Amorim is a big fan of both players. That doesn't surprise me. Look, 40 million release clause is like £35 million. If we can get him for £35 million, I would be gassed. Continuing on, I spoke about Mason Greenwood in my video the other day because I obviously spoke about the 50% sell-on clause and the fact that he'd scored 4 goals for Marseille. And Barcelona scouts were at that game. He's been linked to PSG, he's been linked to Barcelona. There's talk of Greenwood, potentially going for 70, 80 plus million in the summer, which could potentially bring United 40 million pure profit if it's 50% on what he goes for, or if it's 50% of the profit, that can still bring Man United 25 million in pure profit, which is a lot of money. These pure profits and these sell-on clauses seems to be bringing Man United more money than actually selling their players. So from a Man United perspective, if Greenwood is going to have a big move this summer, it's going to help us do the investment we need to do in midfield. Continuing on to Maguire, who scored that big goal at Anfield, very good with his head. I'm happy to keep Maguire another year or two, but he has to reduce his wages to stay another year or two, because when he doesn't arguably start in our best starting 11, because I think De Ligt is better, I think Euro is better, I think that Lisandro Martinez, if fully fit, is better. We saw the Leach of Varane centre-back pairing won us the trophies. When Leach and Varane were fit and playing together, we're actually so good. We missed that, but I think he's a good player. I think he's a good leader. I think he should make the England squad. I think he's a great player. I think he's been a bit underrated, and he's a good goal scorer. So I don't want him to be on 200k a week to be fifth choice centre-back. But if Maguire takes a big wage cut, I'd like him at the club another year or two for that experience. Now, contract talks are ongoing between United and Maguire's reps. There's meetings at Carrington. Salary's a key factor. Maguire's keen to stay and reach an agreement with the club. His current deal runs out in the summer. He's got no further extensions available. The problem is Man United probably asking Maguire to change his salary from 190k a week to 120k a week, whereas Maguire probably wants closer to 170k a week because he doesn't want his salary to be lowered that much. It was interestingly said by Nathan Salt and Chris Wheeler that a firm decision over Maguire has yet to be made. Also, any prospect of Maguire taking a pay cut would depend entirely on the length of the contract being offered to him. He's saying if he's only been offered a 1 or 2 year length contract, he probably won't take a big pay cut. And I think this could go on a little bit, I think, with this Maguire situation, just because I think Maguire wants to see how much money he can get out of Man United, because Maguire was linked to Saudi Arabia, and apparently Saudi Arabia offered Maguire 500 grand a week to move there, and we know that that's probably Maguire's agent putting that out there to put a bit of pressure on United. I'd like Maguire to stay, but we need to get that wage pulled down. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for watching today's 10-minute roundup. I hope you enjoyed today's video. See you next time. Bye.